Good evening, race fans. Welcome to tonight's FEG PC.net sponsored truck series here at the virtual New Hampshire Raceway. As always, I'm James Easton in the booth, bringing you the action 1080p, 60 frames a second, as we get ready as single truck qualifying is underway. And right now you're watching Stephen Page in the number one machine. He's going to go out there and put down some hot laps as quickly as he can. Now, New Hampshire, it's a 1.05-mile raceway, very slippery, and a lot of drivers over the week have said this track feels very, very loose to drive, much hotter and slicker than these guys have been used to in the past. So we're looking forward to another great run as we're going to see what Page can do his next time by. Expecting a lot of good, clean racing here tonight as everybody's been doing the practice throughout the week to get ready for this truck series. Everybody putting in the work to go faster and faster. And they've only got just a couple rounds left here in segment 2 for the FEG PC Truck Series. Again, today we're at the virtual New Hampshire Raceway, the Motor Speedway. Next week we go to Watkins Glen, a road course for these drivers as they'll try and tackle 25 laps. And then we're going to wrap up Segment 2 Championship at Indianapolis Motor Speedway, which is going to be a very exciting time for all of these drivers. Jay Darger, he's the number 57, driving around, doing a great job. Darger, he's been a very consistent top 10 truck all season long. Looking forward to him getting faster and faster as things progress, but I've got to say, he's a very talented driver. He's a lot of fun watching during our broadcast and always puts on a good show and always has a lot of folks from across the world tune in to support him. So a pleasure to see Dargard out on track. And it looks like that's going to bring it home for our qualifying. I believe everyone has qualified except for about 4 drivers. Kenneth McCullough Jr., Joshua Doobie, Andrew Ewing, and Joe Burgess not qualifying here today. Still waiting to see if any other drivers go out. I don't believe they will as qualifying comes to an end. And let's get ready to take it to tonight's grid. Up front, you've got Matt Lee starting on pole, Michael J. Johnson second, Cody McCauley in third, Chad Ross fourth, Jay Dargert fifth, Jose Medina sixth, Cale Seaman seventh, Stephen Curry starting 8th. Jeffrey Radke starting 9th tonight. You've got 3 wide starting 10th. Stephen Page starting 11th. James Kaufman 12th. Better starting 13th. Kenneth McCullough Jr. starting 14th. Joe Burgess 15th. Joshua Doobie 16th. And then Andrew Ewing will start 17th to round out our field. A lot of these drivers are assigned nicknames from the league admins because they're all a bunch of friends on and off the track. So that is why the live time and scoring shows their nicknames here today. And we're going to get ready to send them out there and get this show started. Expecting a great show from all these drivers. They always put on a spectacular race. I know New Hampshire is going to be very, very tricky. Going to be interesting to see. Do we see a caution-plagued field today? Or will everyone going to be able to bring it home nice and clean? As we're going to keep an eye out on Matt Lee in the 04 machine. He's been a very, very dominant truck all season long. And him and that very shiny 04 machine, that Toyota Tundra. Always a lot of fun to watch out there. Gonna get ready to get this grid finalized. And here we go. Pace truck is out. It is time to get the show on the road. Can Matthew Lee be bested? He's been, again, one of the fastest drivers out there all season long. Or will it be someone else running up front able to try and dethrone Lee, who, again, he's been a dominant driver all season long. Right now, Matthew Lee is first in points. Michael J. Johnson second. Kenneth McCullough Jr. third. Eric Parks fourth. And Chad Ross in fifth. Jay Dargert, we talked about him earlier on today. He is running sixth, just outside that top five. So let's keep an eye on the number 57 machine, see if he can pull off something here today. But up front, your top row, Matt Lee, Michael J. Johnson, guaranteeing to put on a great show out here today. Matthew Lee with a great launch. He's going to be the first one in turn one. Michael J. Johnson on the high side, but he's accompanied by Cody McCauley. He's going to be looking to the inside early on, see if he can get a run. McCauley does check up, thinks better of it. And then Chad Ross, he's also in the mix. Wanting to play it safe and not give away too much too early. The last thing these guys want to do in a 100-lap race is find themselves involved in an incident. So far, so good, though, as the field's getting everything figured out early on, playing it very, very safe. No one wanting to push too early here today. And up front, still Matthew Lee, Michael J. Johnson second, Cody McCauley third, Chad Ross fourth. And it looks like a Jay Dargert, the number 57 machine. He is now in the top five. He's going to be chasing Chad Ross going into the section of racetrack. Both of these drivers look like they're going in very, very deep and then pushing up the track, as here comes Jose Medina in the number 24 machine, trying to make his way around Jay Dargert. Dargert pushes wide. That's going to allow Medina to take a peek to the inside as they make their way down the back stretch. Dargert's got to be careful of Medina trying to make that inside line work. It's a very, very tight race here as Dargert keeps finding himself pushing wide. Not sure if he's trying to kind of diamond that corner a little bit like a road racer would and get a little bit more speed. Up front, you've got Matthew Lee. Cody McCauley has made his way into second, while Michael J. Johnson's got shuffled back to third. And very impressed so far. We've kept it green this far. That's a good sign for all of our drivers. That's Cody McCauley. He's trying to catch back up to Matthew Lee's 04 machine and get out there. Let's see if he can do something with it or if it's going to be a long game. As Michael J. Johnson, number 39 Toyota, he wants back up front. Right now, though, it's Toyota 1, 2, and 3 with Lee, McCauley, and Johnson leading this pack. Behind these drivers, they've got about a 1.5 second to fourth place. Chad Ross, who's accompanied by Jay Dargert, and then a small break before we get to sixth place. The number 24 machine, Jose Medina. Man, not much separates these top three drivers. It's Lee, McCauley, and Michael J. Johnson all in the mix, but Cody McCauley is charging hard in the number 62, trying to get up next to Matthew Lee and disrupt, I should say, the current points leader. As look how deep McCauley is going into turns 1 and 3, really letting it all hang out, heavy on the brakes. And let's see, it's still Lee out front. McCauley getting closer and closer. Lee's last time by was at 30.5 seconds. McCauley and Michael J. Johnson both did 30.48. But we know Matthew Lee in the 04 machine has been an expert at maintaining tires and keeping them underneath them all run long. And that will be the biggest factor here at New Hampshire, is who can average out the pace the best as the tires start to degrade. Their best of the sessions were all in the 30.2s in the top three. They were about 0.4 of a second off their best pace already. So about lap 15, you'll see these drivers rapidly fall off the pace and lose up to as much 2 seconds as the tire wear really becomes a factor. They'll burn off that rear right, and then you can find yourself getting looser and looser as the run progresses. And man, very impressed with the driving so far that we're seeing from these guys. And let's see, McCauley keeps getting closer and closer to the 04 of Matthew Lee. Now, here's somebody on track we haven't seen that often. Jeffrey Ford, the league owner and head aficionado, he's running the number 96 machine in his Chevrolet. We have not had the pleasure of seeing Ford out here that much this season, but good to see the league admin, the guy that makes everything happen behind the scenes. He's out there driving today. Always a great pleasure seeing him on track, and a nice switch up from him doing the normal administrative duties. So Ford currently finds himself in 12th place in his Chevrolet. He's up 1 spot from where he started and doing a great job getting back out there. Take a look back up front. You've still got McCauley heavily pressuring Matthew Lee's 04 machine. I am curious who's going to be able to keep those tires underneath him the longest. As Matthew Lee starts to extend that gap just a little bit out front. And let's see McCauley getting closer and closer to that back quarter panel of the 04 machine. He's got to be very, very careful not to drive it in too deep here and find himself accidentally making contact with the 04. That could ruin both of their nights very, very quickly. All these guys, very good friends and competitors on and off the track. They run multiple series here at FEG PC together. So even when they're not running the trucks, they may find themselves in the cup cars or even hanging out together and trying something different. As it's still a great race up front. As we click off lap 15, it's about to be still a long way to go. 85 laps remaining. Matthew Lee out front. All these guys doing a very good job. Now let's take a look at the live timing here and see what type of times they're doing. So that last time by, Lee with a 30.95, McCauley and Johnson both with 31-second flat. So these guys are about 6-7 tenths off their best lap time so far of the session, as the tire wear beginning to take a toll on these drivers. But one thing you can expect, they will stretch it out all the way to the end if possible to avoid coming in early. It's a 100-lap race so only a 100-mile race, so relatively short as far as runs here at New Hampshire go. But all these guys are going to do their best to keep the tires underneath them. As Matthew Lee, he gets a little bit of a chance to breathe as he's finds himself about a half second above second place Cody McCauley. Jay Dargett, the number 57 machine, he's running all by his lonesome in 4th place. He's got about a 4-second disadvantage to the driver in front of him, Michael J. Johnson in 3rd, but he has a 2-second breathing space to 5th place Chad Ross. So Dargett in a good position here, just pushing air by himself, doesn't have many things to worry about. He has to go out there, hit his marks, and have a good time. Dargert finds himself 6th in points. He's got 3 top 5s so far this season. His season best was the segment opener on May 31st where they ran at Charlotte. He started off 6th. He finished 3rd and even led 2 laps. So Dargert, one of those guys that keeps getting faster and faster and always outruns that very clean marine paint scheme of his Chevrolet. Look a little bit further in the pack, and you've got Jose Medina, the number 24 Tecate sponsored machine. He's leading Stephen Curry and Stephen Page. This is your battle for 7th on screen right now. So Medina 7th, Curry 8th, Page 9th. Man, I'm still very impressed with McCauley up there, running very, very well behind Matthew Lee. McCauley is 15th in points, so this is his 4th start of the season, or I guess the segment, I should say. But last week, we did see the number 62 bring it home on top of the podium, where he started 2nd, and he finished 1st. And out of those 50 laps of Pocono, he only had to lead 7 of them, but he led the most important one, which was the final lap at Pocono, the tricky triangle. So McCauley, a little bit late comer into the season, or not be able to make as many races as he aimed to in segment 2 of the FEG PC Truck Series, but having a great time when he is able to make it and putting on quite a show for all the friends at home. Speaking of, if you're watching from home and you want to give a driver a shout out, let us know. We try and give everybody as much TV time as we can, and it helps support those drivers out on track, helps their sponsors as well as the league itself. So we couldn't do it without you guys, and always appreciate you. Matthew Lee starting to get a bit of a run here and a bit of a gap. He's worked his way up to about 3/4 of a second above 2nd place Cody McCauley. Michael J. Johnson, your 3rd place runner. He is about 2 seconds back from the lead pack of Matthew Lee and Cody McCauley. His last time by was at 31.69. He was about 0.4 of a second off the pace as the 1st and 2nd place runners tonight. Two drivers that did not make the field, that would be Andrew Ewing and Joshua Doobie, unable to start tonight, having some sort of problem. It's been a weird last couple weeks for sim racers across the world, as storms have really been hitting the eastern seaboard very, very hard, myself included here in the broadcast booth in Georgia. Jay Dargert currently running 4th place out on track in the number 57 Chevrolet. Doing a great job making his way around, but let's go look and see the 7th place, as you have quite the shootout for me. You've got Stephen Curry. He just got around Jose Medina. Medina's on the high line. And behind them, Stephen Page in the number 1. He wants in the mix. So Medina's going to run the high line. Curry on the low line. Let's see where it comes out. Looks like Curry is going to hold the line. Oh, no! He gets hooked just ever so slightly by Medina. Both of those guys just seem to run out of racetrack, and that is going to cause heavy damage to both of those machines. The caution does not come out, but that will be Curry and Medina involved in that one. Medina's going to get cycled back just a little bit here. Jeffrey Radke behind him. Then you got Medina, and then I believe, yeah, that is it. So hate to see it for Medina. So Page, Curry, Radke, Medina, as far as that incident went, could have been much, much worse for these drivers. Stephen Page in the number 1 machine. He's up 4 spots from where he started tonight. Currently finds himself in 7th place, qualifying 11th. So not having the qualifying run that he really wanted, but able to make some big moves early on as we get ready to click off and start lap 28. Now I am very curious, when are these guys going to come in for tires? The pace has dropped over a second up front as Matthew Lee, his last time by, clicked off a 31.44 compared to his race best of 30.21. So already a second slower due to tire wear. He still maintains a second lead over second place, Cody McCauley, and about a 3.8 second lead over third place, Michael J. Johnson. That'll be the top three pack you see on your screen right now. Behind them, Jay Dargert, the number 57 machine. He's about 5 seconds back from third place, Michael J. Johnson. Behind him, that's Cale Seaman, the number 17 machine. Cale is up 2 spots so far in his Toyota, and he's about 1.3 seconds back from Dargert. So you can see right there as Cale kind of looks like he was pushing up the racetrack. That is a telltale sign that the drivers are really starting to tighten up on their runs. Once it tightens up, what that means is it doesn't quite turn in as much as you want it to in those left-handers. It seems to almost push the front end up the racetrack. So the car gets tighter, harder to turn compared to looser, where it is easier to turn, almost to the point of spinning out. Jeffrey Ford, he's going to come into pit lane for an early stop on lap 30. So as these trucks starting to tighten up, they push to the outside wall, and you can find yourself in big, big trouble if you're in a side-by-side battle. So Jeffrey Ford in and out with a 14.78 second pit stop. That is long enough for 4 fresh Goodyears and a tank of gas. So Ford going for a bit of an undercut, saying, hey, I'm going to try and come in before everybody else and maybe come out on some good fresh tires. But all these guys doing a great job. And we went 30 laps at a very tricky racetrack, and it's been green all the way around as we see Cale Seaman still trying to whittle away at that gap that Jay Dargert, number 57, has from him. Seaman currently running 5th, Dargert in 4th. Now, Cale, number 17 machine, he's got a comfortable gap to 6th place. Chad Ross finds himself about 6 seconds back in 6th. Back up front, it's still Matt Lee. He's going to get a lap advantage over William Lothar in the number 47 machine. As we're going to see Lee expertly navigating traffic. That was James Coffin, the number 25 machine. He will find himself a lap down. As Lee, a man on a mission, driving the wheels off of that 04 and doing a fantastic job. Lee still has about a 1.5 second gap over second place, Cody McCauley, as McCauley's turn to navigate traffic. So it looks like he's getting dicing through traffic as clean as he can. So while it is kind of a gentleman's rule to get it out of the way of the lead traffic when possible, these guys are also battling for position as Cody McCauley will begin his pit cycle on lap 35. Let's see how long Matt Lee in the 04 machine stays out, as Lee took an alternative line almost through the apron there, so not sure if he's trying to make the truck a little bit tighter or what the plan is. McCauley, he's in pit lane. Cale Seaman, he comes in as well. So here's the name of the game. How long does Matt Lee stay out in the 04 machine? He's about 1.2 seconds off of his best lap of the session. The longer he can stretch this out, the better it will look for him. Maybe trying to make it a one-stop night, although we're expecting probably 2 stops, if not 3, from these drivers. And as the field mixes it up on tire strategies, when things get very exciting, you'll have some guys on very tight trucks, such as Matthew Lee, who is appearing to stay out on lap. He's about to start lap 37, compared to some guys who are coming out with new race trucks that seem to be a little bit looser and a little bit faster as they come out. Chad Ross, Jeffrey Radke, they make their way into pit lane. Jay Dargert also coming into pit lane. So a large portion of the field opting to come in a little earlier. Matt Lee still out on his original set of tires. Michael J. Johnson, Stephen Page, Stephen Curry appears they're staying out for the time being. So now it's going to be Matt Lee still up front. Michael J. Johnson still second. Stephen Page and Stephen Curry have both moved up a bunch of spots into third and fourth, as Page has moved up 8 spots. Curry has moved up 4 spots. But it's going to be very interesting to see just how long Matt Lee stays out there, as it appears he may have tapped the wall there starting lap 39. And there's only 4 trucks on the lead lap compared to everybody who has pitted already. McCauley, who is now in 5th place, he's a lap down from the leaders, but he will be able to get that back once Lee, Johnson, Page, and Curry do finally come into pit road. As Lee does a 31.66 his last time by. Let's see what it is this time around, as McCauley is about to unlap himself. Lee with a 31.56. McCauley did a 30.43. So a fresh set of tires on lap 34 for McCauley is good for about 1.2 seconds over your current race leader, Matthew Lee. So McCauley will find himself in the lead lap in 5th position, but about 30 seconds back from race leader Matthew Lee's 04 machine. James Kaufman, he's ending his pit cycle as Stephen Page comes in. Page was running very up towards the front, but he will come in the number 1 machine. Matthew Lee, though, no sign of coming in yet. He slowed down about 1.5 seconds so far in the 04 machine from his best lap time. But if he can make this a one-stop race, he'll be looking very, very good just to win on tire strategy. We've got Craig Lowen tuning in. He's cheering for Chef Curry out there today. Curry, right as we say that, he begins his pit cycle in the number 54. And Matthew Lee, our current race leader, he's incoming as well. So let's keep an eye out and see what Michael J. Johnson, number 39 machine, does. He will stay out another lap. Johnson did a 31.86 his last time by, compared to a session best of a 30.34. But Johnson, he's going to get out there, get some laps led here in New Hampshire. And let's see when we see the number 39 Toyota come into pit lane. It looks like it's going to be now. So he will pit on lap 43. I think Cody McCauley will be our new race leader. Now, McCauley came in on lap 34. Matthew Lee exits the pit lane in 3rd place still on lap 42. So Lee will be coming out on the freshest tires, 8 laps newer than current race leader Cody McCauley. And still lots of great racing left here today, as we are not even at the halfway mark yet. McCauley's last time by was at 30.79. He's got about a 4.5 second gap over 2nd place Matthew Lee. Now McCauley, he's going to work to put Jose Medina another lap down. Both of these guys have very similar tire strategy. McCauley came in on lap 34, while Medina came in on lap 36. But Medina will be the first car 1 lap down. But he is in that lucky dog position if a caution comes out late in this race. But we've been running 45 laps green so far. Very impressive for all these drivers out here. And we're going to take you on board with current race leader Cody McCauley for one lap and let you listen to that machine work at the number 62. So interesting to see here, McCauley with the downshifts from 4th to 3rd, going into turn 1 and into turn 3. We did not hear that in some of the Cup cars we've seen here at New Hampshire. So these drivers trying to stay in the power band of these NASCAR Gander Mountain trucks by downshifting to 3rd. So interesting to see, maybe the guys using a little bit of engine braking to rotate those cars around, trucks I should say. As McCauley still leading the race, he's got about a 2.6 second gap over Matthew Lee, but Matthew Lee is gaining about a half second per lap of this race, as McCauley with a 31.05 his last time by compared to Lee's 30.55. And you can see at the top of your screen, that's Matthew Lee giving a bit of a shove to Jose Medina, trying to get away around lap traffic. Matthew Lee. So that's Matthew in the 04 machine, Medina in the number 24 Tecate sponsored machine. Now Lee's got to get around William Lothar of the 47. And the more he has to battle with lap traffic, the slower his advance will be. But he's got to keep in the back of his mind, hey, tire wear is the biggest thing. So it's better to lose a little bit of time now, safely getting around lap traffic, instead of really having to race them and cook your tires. As Matthew Lee's going to go to the inside of William Lothar's number 47 machine. They'll be side by side through 3 and 4. And Lee will have the spot. They're side by side down the backstretch, but Lee will have the preferred line going into turn 1. And now he's whittled down that gap to 1.7 seconds away from race leader Cody McCauley. McCauley still having to battle through lap traffic himself. That was Joe Burgess in the number 19 Ford. He had to get around. Matthew Lee making quick work of lap traffic in the 04 machine. We're going to take a quick, once Lee comes around the start-finish line straight, we're going to take an onboard with him as well. Lee always does some very unique stuff into the corners to try and slow down these race trucks and save fuel. So it's going to be very interesting to hear what his engine is doing, and keep an eye on the tack as he gets ready to cross the start-finish line for a lap with Matthew Lee in the 04 machine, our current points leader. That is a fast lap with second place and current points leader Matthew Lee. He's also grabbing that downshift from 4th to 3rd and riding that very ragged edge of traction through the corners before it wants to break free and step out. But here's the battle for the lead. Cody McCauley up front, Matthew Lee in second. Now I'm almost confident that Lee will have to pit one more time as well as McCauley. So expect to see McCauley coming around that lap 70 mark. As here comes Matthew Lee in the 04 machine, diving into the inside in turn 1. They're side by side, both trucks not wanting to push up the racetrack and cause an incident. Lee has to be very careful not to try and get too much drive out of the corner, or he can find himself drifting up into the inside of Cody McCauley. But he does make it stick on the back stretch, and McCauley will have to get shuffled back to second in the number 62 machine. So Matthew Lee, the 04, will regain the race lead. McCauley, his last time in for pit lane was lap 42 for 4 fresh Goodyears and a full tank of gas, while Lee was able to stretch out just a little bit further to lap 42. So if they keep their same tire and pit strategy, you'll see Lee coming around lap 84 compared to McCauley's lap 70. So it's going to be an interesting gamble here at the end. Who will have the best tires underneath them as we get ready for that final sprint when it begins, about 20 laps to go. Now here comes Matthew Lee. He's got more traffic to deal with. I believe that may be Chad Ross, the number 38. Who should be appearing on the left side of your screen any moment. You see a hint of the shadow going into 1 and 2. And that is going to be Chad Ross's 38. Trying to stay on the lead lap. Now Ross came in on lap 35 as well, so a little bit after McCauley, but well before Matthew Lee. Now Lee gets such good drive out of turn 4, able to quickly get around Chad Ross. Ross will be the first truck down a lap at New Hampshire in the lucky dog position. And the next lapped car for Matthew Lee to try and get around will be Stephen Page and I believe Jeffrey Radke in front of him. Matthew Lee's last time by was at 31.16 compared to Cody McCauley's 31.5. Let's see if Matthew Lee can get through this lap traffic. Matthew Lee's got Stephen Page, Jeffrey Radke right in front of him. Now these guys know the race leader is coming by, but they are also battling for that 6th place spot. Radke in 6th, Page in 7th. As it looks like Page will drop to the inside and let Matthew Lee by, so now Lee's going to get around Jeffrey Radke. Looks like he will safe and sound. As we saw Jeff Ford come into pit lane to start his 2nd stop of the night. And Matthew Lee has got through traffic. About 5 drivers still on the lead lap. Lee, McCauley, Johnson, Dargert, and Seaman currently our top 5. Matthew Lee is going to try and work his way through the entire field if he has the opportunity. The 04 machine on tracks at New Hampshire, getting everything well dialed in. We know he has the fuel saving under his belt. We've seen it time and time again. So it's going to be interesting to see if we see Lee make that another long run, if at all possible, as the sun really glimmering off these race trucks here today in New Hampshire. Excellent car control from everybody here tonight as well. We haven't seen that many scary moments or close calls. As you're watching Stephen Page, Jeffrey Radke, they're still battling for that 6th place spot. Page, he's all over the rear bumper of Jeffrey Radke's number 51 machine. Now let's check on Cody McCauley, our 2nd place driver. He's just behind that battle for 6th as he sees Stephen Page, Jeffrey Radke in front of him. McCauley going to take his time trying to get through the field. Still a long race to go, about a little bit shy of 40 laps remaining. Cody McCauley doing a great job watching this battle unfold in front of him. Here comes Jeff Ford behind McCauley. Now Ford's coming out on a fresh set of tires on the number 96 machine, that very bright chrome painted FEG PC.net backed race truck. Oh, look at Ford diving it in. Almost gets onto the rear quarter panel of McCauley. And let's see, Ford has to be careful. We know he's got a faster truck with fresh tires, but does not want to accidentally bump second place McCauley. McCauley will probably yield the position just to keep that race truck clean, if at all possible. Oh, and they briefly go 3 wide down the backstretch. Jeffrey Ford, he's going to get around Cody McCauley. And McCauley will get around Jeffrey Radke's number 51 machine. But things were getting a little bit dicey there for a moment. So Cody McCauley still comfortably in second place. He's got about a 6.2 second gap over Michael J. Johnson and a 17-second gap over fourth place Jay Dargert. We're going to be interested to see if we see Dargert charge more up the front. He's a very fast racer. We haven't seen him on the podium, I don't believe, enough that he deserves today. So hopefully see Dargert, the number 57 machine, start running up front more often. Always a pleasure to talk to on the track and in the booth. But right now it's still Matthew Lee with a dominant performance. McCauley trying to cut through traffic. That's Stephen Page's number 1 that he's going to go side by side with. So now Page will go 1 lap down from second place McCauley. Up front, Matthew Lee in the 04 machine absolutely cruising as he starts his 68 lap here at New Hampshire. Matthew Lee, he's got 7 starts so far this segment, and 4 of those he has won. The only nights of misfortune he's had was a 3rd place at Kentucky, a 2nd place at Road America, or one of 2nd road courses for segment 2, and a 4th place last week at Pocono. So Lee getting back out there and charging hard, trying to regain that winning streak he had at the beginning of the season or segment, because he won Charlotte, Daytona, and Gateway, making it 3 in a row before he was finally knocked off of his throne. .30 laps remaining in tonight's race, the FEG PC Truck Series every Monday night. A lot of money on the grabs for a full purse. If they have a full entry fees, it's a $1,000 payout to first, $250 for second, $250 to third, and then $250 for a random driver in the field. Depending on the entries, that purse does change, but these guys have a chance to come out here, win some money while battling some of the best in the business. As right now, only 5 drivers on the lead lap as Lee, McCauley, Johnson, Dargert, and Seaman doing a great job charging out there tonight. But Matthew Lee, he's been almost unstoppable all season long, save for a couple races, but it looks like he's got it dialed in here at New Hampshire. We're going to look a little bit further back in the field. Cody McCauley, 2nd place. He's coming in. He pitted on lap 34, so stretching that fuel window out just a little bit longer this time by. Michael J. Johnson will take over 2nd place all by himself in the number 39 machine. He's got about 11-second disadvantage to current race leader Matthew Lee and about a 13-second lead over 4th place Jay Dargert. Now Dargert will get shuffled up here to 3rd place as Cody McCauley is still in pit lane. Cale Seaman moves up a spot, and I believe Stephen Page will move up a spot as well. Dargert running 3rd place in the number 57 machine, and it's going to be interesting to see when he comes in. His last pit was on lap 36. So he's already stayed out longer than last time, but I believe he's going to be one of those drivers making it a 2-stop race as well. Dargert has his own lap traffic to contend with. Behind him, Cale Seaman catching up. Dargert currently holds about a 3.3 second gap over the number 17 Toyota. Kenneth McCullough Jr., he finished up his pit cycle with 26 laps to go. That'll be the final stop for him and all the drivers who are starting to come in around this lap 73 to 75 mark. Matthew Lee, he still has quite the lead in the 04 machine, doing a great job running out front. Has about 11.8 second gap over second place and no sign of slowing down anytime soon. Michael J. Johnson, your second place runner right now in the number 39 machine. He pitted 1 lap later than Matthew Lee that last cycle. It's going to be interesting to see how pit strategy comes into effect here as we wind down with 25 to go. Now Matthew Lee, Michael J. Johnson, they pitted about the same time. Lee on lap 42, Johnson on lap 43. So I will be curious to see just how that pans out. So we know Matt Lee has a little bit quicker pace on that same set of tires. But pit strategy, we've seen races won or lost by speeding violations on pit lane. Jay Dargert, the number 57, he's going to start his final pit stop on lap 76. Matthew Lee, he's coming in as well this time by. So let's see, when does Michael J. Johnson come into pit lane? The entire pit lane time is anywhere between 39 to 40 seconds from the time you enter pit lane to the time you leave, which is over a lap here at New Hampshire. So I'll be curious to see, do we see Michael J. Johnson stay out 1 lap later than Matthew Lee before he starts his pit cycle to try and put the previous race leader, the 04 machine of Matt Lee, 1 lap down, and then hope he can come back out in time to stay in front of the 04. But it looks to me like Johnson's going to stretch that fuel window out just a little bit longer. It has been about 35 laps since we've seen the number 39 machine make its way down pit lane. There's the number 1, Stephen Page, coming out of his box as well, rejoining the racetrack on the back stretch. Michael J. Johnson, our current race leader, he has about a 19-second advantage to both McCauley and Matthew Lee. Lee does show on the lead lap still. So McCauley came in on lap 71, Lee came in on lap 77. So once Johnson pits, that should put McCauley and Lee back out front. As right now we've only got 3 drivers on the lead lap here today. It seems to me like maybe that late pit strategy for a lot of the top 5 drivers was a good play. Able to make this a 2-stop race as opposed to some drivers who are making it a 3-lap race, trying to keep those fresh tires underneath them. In the meantime, Michael J. Johnson, the number 39 Toyota Tundra, going to enjoy some laps led here at New Hampshire, as it looked briefly like Jay Dargert was coming into pit lane, but that may have been him just moving aside and maybe getting close enough to that cone to trigger that pit lane warning for everyone on pit road, letting them know, hey, there is a fast machine coming down. They are hot pits, so considered a part of the racetrack. There is a speeding limit, but that is can be broken if racers deem it necessary. They will get penalized for it, but mistakes do happen, so everybody has to keep their head on a swivel. As Johnson, he's going to try and get by Jeffrey Ford's number 96 machine. Always a pleasure seeing Jeff out here racing with his friends in the FEG PC.net series. Speaking of FEG PC.net, give them a check if you're looking for the newest desktop for your sim enthusiast needs. Microsoft Flight Sim, DCS, iRacing, You name it, and they've got a custom solution for your needs. Always able to put reasonably priced desktops together for those that know exactly what they want. And if you don't know quite what you're looking for, give them a call, talk to them, and say, hey, this is what we're playing, this is what we're racing, what do I need to have the best experience? And the guys at FEGPC.net will put it together for you. Michael J. Johnson still up front, getting around lap traffic nice and easy. He's got about a 14-second gap over second place Matthew Lee and a 15.6-second gap over third place Cody McCauley. 17 laps to go. Not quite sure how long Johnson's going to be able to stretch it on fuel. His last time in was on lap 43. So he's got about 40 laps on these set of tires and that tank of gas. Just not entirely sure how long he can stay out there for. But one thing is certain, he's going to stretch it out as long as he possibly can. McCauley, this is again his fourth start in segment 2 this year. Doing a great job getting back out there. But Michael J. Johnson, he finds himself second in points. He's got 7 starts this segment and 1 win under his belt. That was at Road America. Other than that, he usually finds himself up on the podium, where his only non-top 3 finish was the segment opener at Charlotte. After that, he's had 1 third place, 4 second places for Michael J. Johnson. So Johnson's been nothing but consistent all segment long, but he wants out there and he wants those wins to try and whittle away at the gap that Matthew Lee has. He finds himself about 8 points down in the segment championship. Trying to make something happen before we go to the road course, Watkins Glen, where Michael J. Johnson seems to be at home at with the road courses. So this is going to continue shaking things up. 14 laps to go. When is Johnson going to come in? And the time is now, so he's going to take a splash of fuel and maybe only a 2-tire strategy to get back out there and try and chase down Matt Lee and Cody McCauley, who will be taking over the race lead here as the gap rapidly closes. Look on the right side of your screen. Here comes Matthew Lee in the 04 machine. And Matthew Lee are once again a race leader with 13 laps to go. We're going to keep an eye on Michael J. Johnson's pit time, see how quick he can get in and out. But it looks to me like he is going to take 4 tires and that tank of gas. Johnson in and out of the box in about 15 seconds flat. But let's see, is that going to give Jay Dargett the opportunity he needs to get up there and catch third place Michael J. Johnson? Dargett finds himself about 5 seconds back, currently running 4th place. With 12 laps to go, time is rapidly running out. Lee has about a 3.6 second advantage over second place Cody McCauley and the number 62 machine. Between them, a little bit of lap traffic that may hold McCauley's machine up. As McCauley crosses the start-finish line straight, still has a 3.5 second gap between him and race leader Matthew Lee. There's the 03 machine of Kenneth McCullough Jr., currently running 10th place tonight. I will be very impressed. These drivers look like they're going to make it a green flag race from start to finish. One of my favorite things to do. Allows these guys to work on their racecraft, not just on the track and their driving ability, but also show their planning and strategy with their pit stops. As it looked like those longer pit stops were the way to go, as Matt Lee runs out front, McCauley second, Johnson third, Dargett fourth, and Cale Seaman fifth. 5 drivers still on the lead lap out of 15 that made the grid. So 2/3 of the field has been lapped at this point, and I don't think you're going to see anybody else making any pit stops, at least in the top 5, as all of these drivers started their pit cycle after lap. Looks like 75 was the earliest. No, 71 of Cody McCauley was the earliest second pit stop we saw out of the top 5. That's Cody McCauley. He's going to make his way around lap traffic once more. 9 laps to go here. That's the 03 machine of Kenneth McCullough Jr., his Real Tree Camo sponsored truck. McCullough's out there in the Chevy. They're going to go side by side down the start finish line straight, but McCauley will have the preferred position going into turn 1. McCullough will allow him by, nothing to it. But while that was happening, Matthew Lee has extended the gap. He's got a 4-second gap now over second place McCauley, and no sign of slowing down as he came in one of the latest pit stops for that top 5 group. The only person in the top 5 that pitted later was Michael J. Johnson on lap 87. 7 laps to go. I don't think at this point anyone's going to have anything for Matthew Lee, but there's still a lot of trucks on track and anything can happen. Just takes one mental lapse for either yourself or from another driver, and you can find yourself in the pit lane with a shattered race car and broken dreams. Here comes Matthew Lee. He's going to try and get around the number 25. That will be James Kaufman in the Chevrolet. The Kaufman Farm sponsored machine. Kaufman running the low line, Lee running that mid to high line. He should be able to get around. Lee should be able to get around him pretty quickly on the backstretch, and he does get clear very quickly. Six laps to go. Time is running out for all the other drivers except for Matthew Lee, who is in a good chance here to extend his points championship just a little bit. He only had an 8-second advantage over second place Michael J. Johnson, or an 8-point advantage, excuse me. But Johnson, he finds himself about 25 seconds back from the race leader. He did have a late pit cycle on lap 87, 10 laps later than Matthew Lee's 04 machine. But it looks to me like Johnson is carrying about the same pace as the race leader. Matt Lee, his last time by was a 31.49. Michael J. Johnson with that late pit stop, a 32.69. Now Johnson probably finds himself battling traffic a little bit, as this is a very, very tough track to make any passes on. You have to be very, very careful, and most importantly, you have to be patient with everyone around you, especially in these later runs. Everyone is dealing with the tire wear at this point. Everyone is falling at least 1.5 seconds off their best laps of the session, so it was a nice, easy game of picking and choosing when you're going to make a pass and not doing anything risky. Matthew Lee's last time by a 31.66, 1.4 seconds off of his best session of the race. Cody McCauley with a 31.8, so McCauley's losing about 0.15 of a second every lap at this point. It's going to be 2 laps to go once Lee crosses the line, and he's looking very, very good. He just has to play it safe behind lap traffic. That is the number 19 of Joe Burgess. And now Matthew Lee has Jose Medina in the number 24 machine as his next lap car to pick off. It appears to be only 4 drivers on the lead lap right now. Matthew Lee, Cody McCauley, Michael J. Johnson, and Jay Dargert. Our top 4 are the only drivers on the lead lap. Cale Seaman, number 17 machine, he's running 5th place, but even he's a lap down to these very fast guys. White flag is out for Matthew Lee. He's on the inside of Jose Medina going into turn 1. Gets by nice and easy. And Matthew Lee will make his way down the backstretch for the final time in New Hampshire to round out this 100-lap race. These competitors went green all the way around. Very impressed with the drivers here today. And I got to tell you, folks, I'm excited to see what happens at Watkins Glen next week. But put your hands together. Matthew Lee back on top of the podium, bringing it home here in New Hampshire. Cody McCauley will take 2nd, and Michael J. Johnson will take 3rd. Matthew Lee with a well-deserved win. He's going to pull it on the start-finish line straight and smoke those tires for us. Matthew Lee, great run in the 04 machine. We're going to try and get the drivers up into the podium booth here. We're waiting on Michael J. Johnson and Cody McCauley to make it. And Matthew Lee feeling good to be back on the top spot here at the FEG PC Truck Series every Monday night here on the Team Goon Squad Broadcasting Channel. Always a pleasure to broadcast such talented drivers with a green flag run. Very impressed with the drivers, but let's get Michael J. Johnson up into the booth. Michael, you read me?
Yeah, I got you.
Michael, great run tonight, bringing it home in third. It looked like a lot of drivers were kind of figuring out pit strategy, and it looked to me like that longer run really paid out for you.
Yeah, I was needing the caution there at the end for the strategy for what I figured out to pay off, but we didn't get the caution. If we did, we was going to be sitting pretty there with fresh tires.
Now, Michael, you were about 8 points down from Matthew Lee going in tonight. But I know you've got to be excited for Watkins Glen. You won at Road America. Are you feeling pretty great going into a road course next week before our segment finale at Indianapolis?
Yeah, I'm looking really forward to Watkins Glen. It's a really good road track, and I'm looking forward to turning left and right.
like always fun to switch it up. Now, Michael, I mean, again, you're 8 points behind tonight. You'll probably lose a little bit more. I mean, you definitely will just because of math. I'm just a broadcaster, not a mathematician, Michael. But, I mean, how close do you think this is going to be for this segment championship as we get ready to wind this thing down?
Well, I really wasn't too worried about the points. I was going for the win there where it comes down to one championship race. So I was just strategizing to go for the win there.
Well, awesome. Looking forward to seeing you. I can't wait to see how this segment develops. It's a lot of fun broadcasting and calling the action up here. You guys always put on a great show. Before we let you sign off tonight, if you'd like to thank any friends, family, sponsors, the floor is yours, my friend.
Yeah, I thank all the guys at Keeping It Real Esports. You can use KIR2021 at checkout at CircleBDiecast.com also.
Well, Michael, always a pleasure, my friend. We hope to see you back in the booth next week at Watkins Glen.
Thank you, sir.
All right, up next, we've got Cody McCauley in the number 62 machine. Cody, great run tonight. It looked like you guys kept it clean very well all the way around, and it's always a great time seeing those green flag runs develop. How did it feel from your point of view on this kind of tricky 1.05-mile racetrack?
It was different, man. A whole different aspect to this track with the trucks because you got a downshift, and it really changes how you drive the thing. Matt was on point tonight. He obviously put in a lot more laps than the rest of us, and he ain't no doubt about it. That's just old-fashioned ass whooping right there.
Put into fantastic words, Cody. I mean, did you you did great tonight. Were you happy with the second place, or were you trying to reach for a little bit more as the run developed?
Oh, definitely trying to reach for more. Felt like we could have been a better truck. Qualifying hurt us. We left a lot on the table coming out of 4 in qualifying, and so then having to get around Michael, luckily made a little mistake. We were able to kind of play with Matt there, but we just didn't get in and off pit road the way we wanted to. And the last pit stop actually tried to bolt on just right side tire, see if we could make something work, and it looked like it was going to work, but he was just so good getting in pit road that there was really nothing we could do to hold him back. So definitely closed the gap from what I felt like we were going to be at the end of the run, taking 2. But just like I said, hats off to Matt. He ran a perfect race.
Now, Cody, we go to a road course next week at Watkins Glen. Are you excited or apprehensive to add in some right turns to our normally scheduled program?
Either way, I'm not a road course racer by any means. But Watkins Glen, I can get around okay. So it'll definitely be different, and it should be a lot of fun with this group. Like I said, these guys like to race hard and beat and bang a little bit. We didn't quite see it tonight, but we have in previous races, and I think Watkins Glen tends to bring that out in most drivers. So excited. I think we're going to have a good racing across the board.
Well, Cody, always a pleasure having you up here. I know you try and get out to segment 2 races when work and that real-life schedule allows, but before we let you go, is there anybody like to give a shout-out to, friends, family, sponsors? Now is your time, my friend.
For sure. Delta 9 PA, check them out on Instagram, guys. Awesome company. Hit them up. They'll help you out. 62 Designs over on Facebook. Do iRacing paints, designs. We'll do some real car stuff. We've actually just wrapped our first real late model. So hit us up. We'll help you guys out. Get whatever you need done. Really competitive rates. Everybody over at 62 Designs Racing, all the guys help us practice every week. They make sure we're ready to come out here and be a top 3 truck every week. So big shout out to them.
Well, always a great time having you up here, my friend. We hope to see you do it again at Watkins Glen.
Thanks, bud.
And then up next, the man of the hour, Matthew Lee in the 04 machine. Good to have you back on the top spot of the podium, my friend.
Appreciate it, man. That's a fun race.
You did great out there. At what point did you feel like you really had it in the bag, or was it kind of a guessing game till the end until you saw other folks' tire strategy and pit strategy develop?
Honestly, I never felt comfortable at all this entire race because the late race caution, Michael really had me there in a box, especially, I was hoping for a green flag race, so, I kind of pitted a few laps after Cody that last run. That way I had time to run him down. I was kind of worried if I waited too much longer, it was going to get tight running him down. And Michael's game plan, towards the end there, really played strong. If we had a caution, he definitely had it. So.
Well, it seemed to work out very well for you, my friend. Now, I've talked to some drivers that did the Cup cars here around New Hampshire, but how does it feel in the truck after those long runs? Is it the right rear that gets worn out and it gets a little bit loose, or does it get very, very tight and starts plowing towards that outside wall?
It's a little of both. I mean, I like to shift gear, so I use the gear to really, the downshift to slow me down on entry, and then, it's really just about being patient on the throttle on exit and making sure you don't get a little too aggressive. I've got a little aggressive a couple times there and got her a little sideways off of 2, but, it happens. Biggest thing is just not to push over the edge.
And Matt, we know you're a very all-around, just well-rounded and talented driver. You got second place last time we had a road course, Road America Full. How are you feeling going into Watkins Glen next week?
I think Michael might have me at that track. He seems to be really strong with the road courses. I feel decent about it. Like, I could run behind him, but running with him is a different story. He was really fast last time we were at a road course.
Well, a lot of talented and friendly individuals that race here at the FEG PC Series, be it trucks or the Cup cars. Always a great time. Matt, before I let you sign off and pop that champagne, if you'd like to give any shout-outs to friends, family, sponsors, the floor is yours, my friend.
Yeah, I really got to thank Scott over at Martin Sports. Thoughts and prayers with him right now. All the guys over at CGE, Shenandoah Shine, GTR Simulators, Marconi Setup Shop. You guys for the broadcast, Jeff, for putting on another good race.
Well, Matt, always a pleasure, my friend. Good having you back on the top step, and we hope to see you do it again at Watkins Glen.
Thanks, bud. Appreciate it.
And that is going to do it, ladies and gentlemen, for the FEG PC.net Truck Series. The segment is winding down. We've got Watkins Glen next week, followed by this segment, a championship round at the Indianapolis Motor Speedway, where everything is on the line for these drivers. Always a great time up here in the booth. On behalf of FEG PC.net and Team Goon Squad Broadcasting, I'm James East. Always a great time having you out here, and we'll see you next week.